in motion. If the tram comes to a full stop, feel free to stand up and take some photos of the animals. But do ensure all of your personal belongings are secured. Located above your heads are two yellow strips. They're to be used for emergency purposes. If you have an emergency, hold and press the yellow strip and I'll come to your assistance. Those of you in the front cab closest to me, instead of the yellow strip, you can get my attention right up here to this front window. We have a lot to look at today on tour. I'm going to focus on what's closest to us at the moment, which happens to be the cheetahs. If you look on the right-hand side, we have a cheetah behind the palm tree in the middle of the exhibit. We have another one resting in the shade by one of the trees. These are two cheetah brothers. And if you're riding backwards, just look the opposite direction I mentioned throughout the tour. These cheetahs will spend the majority of their time resting. They sleep up to 20 hours a day, just like our house cats. It is important for them to conserve energy because they hold the title as the fastest land mammal. A cheetah can run a top speed of 70 miles per hour, just about the same speed we drive on the freeway. This tram is only going to go 10 miles per hour. We're going to drive by nice and slow and get a good look at all these animals. We have around 50 different species visible from the tram path. We also have lots of baby animals. We are a breeding facility. The animals are born here almost every single day. For the past several months, flamingos have been hatching inside the exhibit on the right. You'll see some smaller gray birds. Those are the chicks. There are well over 30 inside.
They're so skinny.
Expect to see a lot more baby animals throughout this tour. We first opened in 1972 with the primary purpose of being a breeding facility. That is still a main goal of the park. A lot of our attention is focused on breeding endangered species. Currently, we are doing a lot of work with rhinos. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to see some rhinos on tour. We'll also be coming across giraffes, plenty of antelope, gazelle, and lots of different kinds of birds. Looks like we are in luck. We get to see some rhinos. Coming up here on the right-hand side is the Rhino Rescue Center. Inside are southern white rhino females. I am going to pull forward, come to a stop. Once I do, if you want to stand up to get a better look, feel free to do so.
Like the last one. Yeah.
The rhinos inside here again are southern white rhino. They are the most common rhino in the world. These rhinos were brought here to save a close relative known as the northern white rhino. They are a completely different story. Northern white rhinos are one of the rarest animals because their population has dwindled to only 3 individuals left in the entire world. All 3 are located on a reserve in Kenya and are nearing extinction. Here at the park, we haven't given up hope just yet. Some of their DNA can be found in our frozen zoo. We are hoping to use that DNA to create an embryo, and then through in vitro fertilization, use these rhinos as surrogates. With only 3 northern white rhinos left, this exhibit is one of the only hopes there will ever be any more. The safari park is far more than just a zoo. This is a wildlife sanctuary. You'll find that we're very unique compared to a lot of other facilities in that we have large exhibits where we put a lot of animals inside together. Coming into view on the left is one of the largest exhibits at the park. This is South Africa. You're looking at a 60-acre exhibit. This one enclosure is about the same size as Disneyland. Because the animals have a lot of space to roam, it's very hard to predict what animals are going to be where. I'll try and focus mainly on the ones seen closest to us, which is also why it's not a guarantee you'll see every animal each time you come out on tour. The great thing about the tram is that we have all sorts of animals out here. Not only familiar species like giraffe and rhinos, but also lesser known animals. Hopefully some of you leave the tour today learning about a completely new species. Everything these animals have serves a purpose. We can tell a lot about them just by looking.
Over there.
Oh.
Yeah.
We are going to see a lot of antelopes on tour today. Africa is home to over 70 antelope species and only one species of deer. Antelopes come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. We have two different species over here on the left. You can tell a lot about where these animals live just by looking at their coats. For example, on the left-hand side, you'll see an antelope with a brown shaggy coat. Those are ellipse and waterbuck. Their shaggy coat tells us that they are an aquatic species. This coat is going to act like a wetsuit by secreting oil, which repels water. You can also tell a lot about where an animal lives by looking at the color of their coat. On the right-hand side are red river hogs. We're going to come across a lot of animals with red and orange coats, just like this. It is great camouflage. Not really for our eyes, but most animals aren't able to see in color like we can. Instead, they can mainly see in shades of gray. Orange and green are the same shade of gray. That's why there are so many orange animals. You'll see some youngsters inside that exhibit. We have had a lot of wildebeest born recently. It is wildebeest season. If you look over here on the left-hand side, you'll see the wildebeest. They have a gray shaggy coat. Their calves are smaller and tan in color. Wildebeest will give birth to most of their babies within a single 3-week period, and that is happening right now. So we'll continue to have wildebeest born for the next few weeks, and then nothing until next summer. Having all your babies born at once is going to flood the environment with too many babies for a predator to handle. Sometimes we get to see animals in labor on tour. Sometimes we drive by and see an animal that is only minutes old, and it's incredible because these animals are really fast. They're prey species, so they're born and they have to worry about lions, cheetahs. So most of these animals are up and walking within the hour. Wildebeest, though, are even faster than that. They can actually run within 7 minutes after being born. The reason they're a bit quicker is because they go on a huge migration each year, so these babies are born ready to follow the herd right away. One reason we are such a successful breeding facility is because we do have this large exhibit. We put a lot of animals inside together, similar to the wild. These animals don't have to worry about lions or cheetahs, though. All of our large predators have their own separate exhibits, but they're still able to smell them. This encourages natural breeding behaviors. And that's also why we'll see the animals utilizing a lot of similar strategies they would also use to survive out in the wild, living in a herd for one. Smart idea. The more individuals around you, the less chance a lion or a cheetah is going to choose you for dinner. But it also means you can watch each other's back, which is what these animals are doing. Resting on the left are sable antelope. If you look at the way they're resting, you'll notice each member is looking off in a different direction. They have formed an alert circle. The sable antelope are being very vigilant, but again, they don't really need to be. Animals like giraffes do a great job of watching out for predators. They play a very important role because they act as the watchtowers of the wild. And that's why a herd of giraffe is known as a tower. It's a very fitting name. We've had a new addition to this tower of giraffe. Coming up here on the left is a smaller structure called a boma. Inside is a mom and baby giraffe. There she is. This giraffe was born July 2nd, so she is a little over a month old.
Oh, I see him.
Mom was pregnant about 14 and a half months. She was placed inside the boma later on in her pregnancy. This smaller space gives her time to bond with her calf. Eventually they will be let out of the boma into the large exhibit with the rest of the animals. These animals are a lot bigger than they appear to us. This giraffe looks small, but she's not as small as she looks. She's most likely taller than you are. When a giraffe is born, they stand about 6 feet tall, but they grow quickly. They grow about an inch a day their first week.
Cool.
Baby animals are huge targets for predators, but luckily if you're a Cape Buffalo calf, things are a little bit better for you. If you look on the left, you'll find the Cape Buffalo. Notice how they're large and dark in color. These animals are not going to have any sort of camouflage. Instead of blending in, they stand out as a visible threat to predators. They are definitely capable of defending themselves. Their main tactic is mobbing, so they'll live in large, tightly packed herds.